And welcome again, and today we will talk about some more questions. I hope you like the previous videos also. Let's talk about the questions asked in AIIMS is about the deepest layer of cervical fascia. As you all know that the deepest layer of cervical fascia is our prevertebral layer. The answer is very easy. Most of the questions are also asked from this diagram about the carotid sheath. What structures are inside the carotid sheath? Let's talk about them. In many exams, the question may ask about the carotid sheath, whether it is NEET or AIIMS or PGI or ZIPMR. Let's talk about them. You have to remember that external carotid artery is always outside the external carotid sheath. It is always external, never inside the carotid sheath. The only structure is inside the carotid sheath is the internal jugular vein, vagus nerve, and the internal carotid artery. When external carotid artery meet and combine with the internal carotid artery, it becomes the common carotid artery. The only structure which is not inside the carotid sheath is the external carotid artery. You have to remember only this: internal, common, and internal jugular vein and vagus nerve. These are the structures inside the carotid sheath. Next question asked in AIIMS June 2020 is about the supraoid muscles, the arterial supply of the supraoid muscles. The option given are facial artery, occipital artery, and the lingual artery, and all of the above. The answer is the all of the above. These three arteries supplies our supraoid muscles. You have to remember facial artery, occipital artery, and the lingual artery. So you have to remember this by the mnemonic: facial artery, occipital artery, and the lingual artery. Fall. Okay. Let's see the structures. What those muscles are called the supraoid muscles. These muscles are mylohyoid. Mylohyoid is this. You can see there. And styloid is this, from posterior surface of the styloid process and to the junction of the greater cornu and the body of the hyoid bone. This is the hyoid bone. Digastric muscle, anterior belly of the digastric and posterior belly of the digastric. Genohyoid muscle, from genial tubercle to the hyoid bone. These four are the supraoid muscle: mylohyoid, styloid, digastric, and the genohyoid muscle. Mylohyoid line, from the myloid line of the mandible to the body of the hyoid bone, and in median, two mylohyoid muscles are attached by median raphe. The muscle is supplied by the nerve to the mylohyoid. Anterior digastric, from the anterior digastric fossa, and posterior belly, from the posterior surface of the mastoid process. Okay, anterior belly from the digastric fossa and posterior belly from the mastoid notch, and they insert into the tendon held by pulley of the hyoid bone. Anterior belly is innervated by the nerves by mylohyoid, and the posterior belly by the facial nerve. Next is the stylohyoid. From posterior surface of the styloid process to the junction of the body of the hyoid bone and the greater cornu of the hyoid bone. The nerve innervation is by the same as that of posterior digastric, that is the facial nerve. Next is the Hyoid bone from the genial tubercle of the mandible to the body anterior body of the greater cornea of the hyoid bone. It is innervated by the C1 nerve through the hypoglossal nerve. Okay. In extra, what about the muscle? The upper attachment and superior part of the infrahyoid muscle is supplied by arteries branching from external carotid artery, and the inferior portion of these muscles supplied by artery originating from the subclavian artery, and also supplied by the superior thyroid artery and its branches. Let's talk about what those are infrahyoid muscles. Thyroid, sternothyroid, covered by the sternohyoid bone. This is the sternohyoid. Omohyoid, anterior and the posterior surface. You can see the internal jugular vein here. Hyoid bone, thyroid cartilage, and the cricoid cartilage there. Let's talk about the infrahyoid muscles. These are thyroid, sternothyroid, omohyoid, and sternothyroid. The thyroid originates from the oblique line on the lamina of the thyroid cartilage and insert onto the body and the greater cornea of the hyoid bone. Nerve innervation by the C1 through the hypoglossal nerve. Let's talk about the sternothyroid muscle. Originate from the posterior surface of the manvarium of the sternum and insert into the oblique line on the lamina of the thyroid cartilage, and nerve innervation through the ansa cervicalis. Let's talk about our another infrahyoid muscle, that is the sternohyoid. Originated from the posterior surface of the manvarium sterni and insert into the medial part of the lower border of the hyoid bone, and innervation by the ansa cervicalis, same as that of the sternothyroid. Let's talk about our another infrahyoid muscle, that is the omohyoid. Superior belly and the inferior belly. It originates from the upper border of the scapula and insert into the lower border of the hyoid bone. Nerve innervation of the omohyoid by ansa cervicalis. So ansa cervicalis supplies the omohyoid, sternohyoid, and sternothyroid. Only the thyroid through the C1 through hypoglossal nerve. So hope you all are like a video. Please comment anything more, anything you want in the more videos, upcoming videos. Please like, subscribe, and share to support us. Thank you.